I never thought I'd end up here, staring down the suits who buried me alive 5 years ago. But revenge isn't a straight shot. It's a goddamn boomerang that comes back bloody and bent. And when I unveiled the participation rule in that boardroom, I didn't just stun them, I shattered the fragile lie they'd all been living. It started with a whisper in the dark, the kind that echoes louder than any scream. "Annabelle, you're the only one I trust with this," she'd said, her eyes wide and wet like a kicked puppy's. "Sarah, my ride or die since freshman year at NYU. The one who'd crashed on my couch through breakups and blackouts. We were building empires together at Nexus Innovations, that gleaming tech beast in Silicon Alley, churning out AI that promised to bridge divides but really just widen them for profit. The project? Divisive. Yeah, that's what they called it internally, a facial recognition tool for law enforcement, pitched as equity in action, but coded to flag high-risk profiles based on biased datasets that disproportionately nailed Black and Latino neighborhoods. We knew it was rotten from the jump. But ambition's a hell of a drug. And Sarah was the dealer. I was the grunt coder. 28 and hungry. Fresh off a bootstrapped app that got us noticed. Sarah, the Golden Girl VP, with her Wharton MBA and that shark smile that could charm venture capital out of a stone. This is our ticket. Belle. She'd coo over late-night takeout, her manicured nails tapping my screen. Fix the flaws. Make it sing. We'll change the world. But changing the world meant burying the bugs, the ones where the algorithm hallucinated threats in everyday faces, the kind that could turn a bodega run into a SWAT call. I patched what I could. But Sarah? She greenlit the demos anyway, fudging reports to VCs, whispering to the board that it was 98% accurate. Lies on lies. And I was the idiot who believed her loyalty ran deeper than the code. The night it all cracked open, we were in the war room, fluorescents buzzing like angry hornets, Red Bull cans littering the desks. "One more tweak. Annabelle," Sarah urged, her voice a velvet blade. "Run the simulation on the Philly dataset. It'll look clean." I hesitated, fingers hovering over enter. The sims I'd run privately? They spat out error rates that could fry a career, 40% false positives in minority demos. "This feels off," I muttered. But she leaned in, breath hot on my neck. "Trust me. For us. For us." That was the hook that reeled me in. I hit enter, watched the numbers lie, and handed her the report. She kissed my cheek, sisterly, sure, and filed it away. 2 weeks later, the shitstorm hit. A beta test in Baltimore, 3 kids. Wrong place, wrong skin tone. Roughed up by cops on a divisive tip. The press feasted, CNN calling it algorithmic apartheid, activists chaining themselves to our lobby doors. Internal audit? A witch hunt. Emails surfaced. Mine included. Timestamped with that fatal sim. Annabelle authorized the flawed run. The leak read, anonymous but pointed. Sarah's name? Scrubbed clean. She testified in the closed-door review. Voice cracking just right. I relied on her expertise. She assured me it was solid. The board ate it up, me as the fall guy. The ambitious coder who cut corners for glory. I got the pink slip and a subpoena, while Sarah got a quiet promotion to SVP for navigating the crisis. Prison was a blur of concrete and regret. 18 months in federal white-collar hell. Rikers adjacent, where the guards traded stock tips and the inmates swapped tales of corporate backstabs. I lost everything. The apartment in Bushwick. The savings drained on lawyers who billed like vampires. Even the stray cat I'd named after Ada Lovelace. Letters from Sarah? 1. Perfumed and pitying. I'm so sorry.
Bell.
It was survival. Forgive me. I burned it. The flames dancing like the devil's own confetti. Survival. That's what she called framing your best friend for fraud. But in that cell, staring at the bars that looked too much like code brackets, I started plotting. Not wild-eyed vengeance, no Molotovs or midnight hacks.
No.
Mine would be surgical. American as apple pie and a hostile takeover. I'd climb back in, expose the rot from the throne, and make them choose sides in the wreckage. Out on good behavior, I reinvented. Night classes at CUNY, a gig at a no-name startup in Jersey, grinding code for crypto wallets and smart fridges. I watched Nexus from afar. Their stock dipped on the scandal but rebounded on reformed PR spins. Sarah? Engaged to a hedge fund prick, posting brunches in the Hamptons. Her feed a shrine to girl boss. The board? Same old guard. Crusty white dudes in Brooks Brothers. Plus a token diverse face or two for optics. And the project? Divisive 2.0. Rebranded as Unity AI, peddled to PDs nationwide. They thought they'd buried the body. I was gonna be the ghost. Mayan?
A mole.
Turns out, grudges brew slow in boardrooms. One exec, a mid-level drone named Harlan, 50s, paunchy, with a comb-over that screamed midlife crisis, had been sidelined by Sarah's rise. She stepped on my throat for that promo. He grumbled over cheap whiskey at a midtown dive, after I accidentally bumped into him at a tech mixer. I played the sympathetic stranger, all wide eyes and nods. Sounds like Betrayal's the new KPI. By the third round, he was spilling board fractures. Sarah's side deals with lobbyists. The participation rule, a dormant clause in the bylaws, buried in fine print from the 90s.com era. It mandated that any exec implicated in a material misrepresentation had to buy in personally, liquidate assets to cover fines, or forfeit seats. It's a nuclear option, Harlan slurred. No one's touched it since pets.com. I smiled into my bourbon. Nuclear? Perfect. I fed him just enough fabricated creds as a consultant with whistleblower chops to get the interview. Then the pitch. Annabelle Reyes, ethical AI specialist, here to audit Unity. They bit. Desperate for redemption optics. Sarah didn't recognize me at first. Hair chopped short. Glasses. A last name tweak from my abuela's maiden. When her eyes narrowed in the hallway, I just nodded. Long time. Her laugh was tinny. Annabelle?
God.
You look different. Water under the bridge. Right? Bridge? I'd build a dam and drown her in it. The first months were chess, me auditing code, planting seeds of doubt in memos, whispering to the underlings about legacy issues. Sarah circled like a hawk, assigning me grunt work. But I documented everything, her emails pushing bias thresholds, the board's winks at acceptable risks. Harlan fed me scraps, the upcoming board vote on expanding Unity to federal contracts. That's when I'd strike. But revenge has a way of twisting you. Nights alone in my queen's walk-up, I'd scroll Sarah's Insta, see her glowing with that rock on her finger, and wonder, was I the fool for trusting? Or her for underestimating? The city outside my window, horns blaring, neon flickering, felt like a co-conspirator. All grit and grind, where the American dream chews you up and spits out the bones. I miss the old us, the late nights dreaming big before the dollars turn us small. But missing didn't mean forgiving. It fueled the fire. As the audit wrapped, I prepped the presentation. Slides clean. Data damning. Unity's error rates unchanged. Sarah's sign-offs in bold. And the kicker, the participation rule, dusted off like a loaded gun. I'd frame it as accountability, not vendetta. But deep down, it was both. The board meeting loomed, that glass-walled area on the 47th floor, where deals died and egos ballooned. I rehearsed in the mirror. Voice steady. Gentlemen and ladies, this isn't just code. It's consequence. Little did I know, Sarah had her own ghost stirring. The elevator to the 47th hummed like a coffin nail being driven home. Each floor a tick toward Judgment Day. I clutched my tablet, the weight of it heavier than any shank I'd imagined in prison dreams. Nexus's HQ was a monument to excess, chrome and glass. Open-plan floors buzzing with millennials in hoodies, pretending they weren't cogs in the surveillance state. But up top, that was where the real monsters played. Cigar smoke and single malts masking the stench of moral decay. Sarah cornered me in the lobby that morning, her Louboutins clicking like castanets. Coffee, she offered, all faux warmth, steam rising from her to-go cup like a peace flag. We sat in the atrium, palms framing the Hudson like judgmental gods. Look, Belle, she started, stirring her latte with unnecessary vigor. About back then. I was young. Scared. The board was breathing down my neck. Young? We were the same age. Both chasing that corner office like it was the Holy Grail. You threw me under the bus, I said flatly, watching a pigeon crap on the ledge outside. She winced.
Performative.
I pulled strings to get you this gig. Call it amends. Amends? Or insurance. I'd already sniffed her play. HR logs showed she'd vetted my consultant, alias personally. Probably to keep tabs. Fine. Let her think she had the upper hand. The boardroom was a pressure cooker, 12 seats around that monolithic table. Leather chairs creaking under the weight of entitlement. Harlan slouched in the back, avoiding my eye. The director, Victor Lang, 70 if a day, with jowls like a basset and a voice like gravel in a blender, presided at the head, flanked by the old guard, Evelyn the token feminist who tokenized everyone else, and Chet the finance bro whose spray tan screamed midlife Viagra runs. Sarah sat to Victor's right, her posture screaming heir apparent, a slim folder in her lap like a shield. Unity AI expansion, Victor barked, skipping preamble. Projections? Sarah launched in, slides popping like champagne corks, market share graphs spiking, testimonials from satisfied PD chiefs. This is our redemption arc.
Folks.
Equity embedded. Risks mitigated. Bullshit. Served sunny side up. I waited, pulse thumping in my temples. As the nods rippled, polite applause for the prodigal daughter. Then Victor turned to me, his gaze like a colonoscopy. MS. Reyes. Your audit. This was it. I stood, tablet syncing to the projector with a beep that cut the air. First slide, the clean pitch. Error rates improved by 0.2%. Murmurs of approval.
Then I swiped.
Raw data flooded the screen, false positives by demographic. A heat map of bias glowing red over brown skin. Gasps. But not shock, more like the polite horror at a bad wine pairing. MS. Lang's approvals. I continued. Voice even as a surgeon's scalpel. Bypass standard QA on 3 key builds. Sarah's head snapped up, eyes narrowing to slits. That's cherry-picked, she hissed. But Victor silenced her with a raised palm. I pressed on, detailing the Philly holdovers, the unreported SIMs, the lobbied exemptions. The room thickened, air conditioning whispering like ghosts. Evelyn shifted. Uncomfortable, Chet checked his Rolex. Harlan? He was gray, sweat beading. This isn't new, Victor growled finally. We litigated this. Divisive was a blip.
Blip?
Tell that to the families. With respect. Sir, I replied, channeling every boardroom flick I'd binged. It's a cancer. And the bylaws have a scalpel. Article 17. The participation rule. Blank stares. I pulled it up, yellowed legalese from 98. When the founders feared Y2K more than ethics. Any officer found in material misrepresentation must participate fully. Personal asset liquidation to cover liabilities. Or immediate resignation. I'd modernized the jargon in my notes. Skin in the game. Literally. Sarah laughed. Sharp and brittle. This is archaic theater. Annabelle. No one's invoked that since dial-up. But Victor's jowls tightened. Read the clause. MS. Reyes. I did. Verbatim. My voice filling the space like smoke. When I finished, the silence was a vacuum, sucking in breaths. Egos deflating. Chet broke it first. This could tank us. SEC would feast. Evelyn nodded slowly. But it's fair. Accountability. Sarah bolted up, chair scraping like nails on chalkboard. This is a witch hunt. Annabelle's got an axe. Personal. Heads turned. I met her gaze.
Steady.
Personal? Like framing a friend for fraud. The room inhaled collectively. Victor's eyes darted between us. The pieces clicking. Reyes. As in the divisive whistleblower? The one who did time. Bingo. The hook sank deep. Harlan coughed, feigning surprise. Sarah paled, foundation cracking like fault lines. That's ancient history, she stammered. She was culpable. Liar. But I had the emails forwarded from a ghost account. Timestamps irrefutable. I flicked to them, her instructing the fudge. My protests ignored.
Culpable?
Or convenient. The board erupted, murmurs to shouts. Evelyn demanding a vote. Chet on his phone with counsel. Victor slammed the table, veins bulging. Enough. Recess. Legal reviews the rule. All of you. We spilled into the hall. A herd of cornered bulls. Sarah grabbed my arm, nails digging. You bitch. After everything? Everything? Like the collect calls I ignored from her remorse? You built this.
Sarah.
Own it. She released me, eyes wild. You'll regret this. I have friends, real ones. Threats from the queen of backstabs. I shrugged, adrenaline buzzing like cheap coke. But as she stormed to the ladies, I caught Harlan's nod from the shadows. Phase 1, check. The recess dragged, 2 hours of pacing. Coffee going cold. Whispers slithering like snakes. Victor reconvened us. Face carved from flint. Council confirms. The rule holds. MS. Lang. Your assets are in play. Resign or liquidate. Sarah froze. Then laughed, manic. Unhinged. This is insane. Annabelle's the criminal here. She coded the flaws.
Gasps again.
Victor leaned forward. Evidence. She fumbled her folder. Spilling printouts. My old sim logs. Highlighted like scarlet letters.
She knew.
Pushed it through for the bonus. My stomach dropped. Those logs, doctored? No. Worse, real. But contextualized to damn me. I'd protested in chats. But here they looked like eagerness. The board scanned, brows furrowing. Evelyn. Annabelle? I stood tall. Context matters. I flagged risks, she overrode. But doubt crept in, their eyes shifting from outrage to calculation. Chet, this smells like mutual destruction. Victor rubbed his temples. We're voting now. Participation rule. Invoke or bury? The eyes trickled, Harlan's firm. Evelyn's hesitant. Chet's abstention, a coward's out. 5-4 to invoke. Sarah's scream echoed, raw. Primal. You fools. This kills Nexus. Victor. Or saves it. She lunged at me. But security materialized, corporate muscle in ill-fitting blazers. As they escorted her out, thrashing, she spat. This isn't over.
Bell.
Blood's thicker than code. Thicker? We weren't blood. But in that moment, watching her shatter, a sliver of pity pierced the armor. Had I gone too far? The board adjourned in chaos. Handshakes turning to side eyes. Harlan clapped my shoulder. Brava. But his grin was oily. Victory tasted like ash. That night, alone with a bottle of Malbec in my walk-up, the city symphony mocking me, sirens wailing like Sarah sobs, I scrolled news alerts. Nexus stock dipped 3% on internal restructuring.
Good.
But a DM pinged. Anonymous. From a burner. You think you won? Check the vault. Attached, a file. My hands shook as I opened it. Blueprints, not code. But corporate. Sarah's promotion tied to a slush fund, laundered through Unity sales to shady contractors. And me, not just fall guy. I'd signed off on a prototype grant, innocent, but leveraged now as complicity. The twist, Harlan's signature underneath. Buried deep. Son of a bitch. It wasn't just Sarah. The rot ran deeper, and I'd just poked the hive. Dawn broke gray over Queens. The kind of light that seeps into your bones and whispers surrender. I hadn't slept, the file burning a hole in my laptop. Harlan's betrayal a fresh knife twist. I'd thought him an ally, a disgruntled pawn eager to topple the queen. But those blueprints? They painted him as the puppeteer, siphoning kickbacks from Unity's underbelly, using Sarah as frontwoman while I was the patsy's patsy. The participation rule? His gift, laced with poison. Invoke it, and the probe would spiderweb, hitting her assets. Sure. But dredging mine too. That old grant twisted into fraud. We'd all bleed. But Harlan? He'd skate. The ghost in the machine. I called in sick, hoarse voice. Vague flu, and hit the streets. The subway rattle matching my pulse. First stop, a cyber cafe in Astoria. Cash only. No traces. I dove into the dark web light, forums where ex-Nexus coders vented like chain smokers at AA. Threads on Unity. It's not bias, it's blueprint. Harlan's pet project from day one. Dots connected, his tenure predated Sarah's. The 98 bylaws his brainchild. A safeguard that never fired because he controlled the triggers. The slush fund? Offshore shells in the Caymans. Funneled through dummy vendors. Sarah knew emails in the file confirmed her cut. A finder's fee for the lobbyists. But me, dragged in as the sacrificial lamb to test the waters post-scandal. Rage boiled. Hot and American. The kind that built railroads on broken backs and Wall Street on widows' tears. I could have leaked it all. Scorched Earth via WikiLeaks 2.0. But no, revenge needed teeth. Not just fangs. I needed in.
Deeper.
A plan coalesced over greasy diner eggs. Play Harlan's game. But flip the board. Feign alliance. Bait him into overreach. Then drop the hammer. Participation Rule 2.0. Customized for his ass. Back at HQ that afternoon, fever be damned, I cornered Harlan in the smoker's alley. Rain pattering on the awning like guilty fingers. The file, I said. No preamble. Shoving my phone under his nose. He didn't flinch. Just exhaled a lungful of Marlboro menthol. Clever girl. You always were. Always? He'd watched me code from the shadows. Probably chuckled when Sarah fed me to the wolves. Why? I demanded, voice low. He shrugged, ash flicking into the puddle. Survival. Annabelle. Sarah was sloppy, flashy. Sure. But a liability. You? Clean slate post-prison. The perfect auditor to dust off my rule. His rule. The nuclear option was his doomsday device, aimed at rivals. And now, I pressed. He grinned, yellowed teeth. Now we partner. Leak the Sarah docs selective, bury her, elevate us. Board seat for you, my dear.
Partner.
The words slimed out like oil. But I nodded, eyes downcast. What's the play? He outlined it over the next week. Covert meets in dive bars. Encrypted drops. Forge a confession from Sarah. Tie her to the fund solo. Invoke the rule on her alone. I'd get a whistleblower bonus. He a quiet exit with golden parachute. Tempting. In that devil's bargain way. But as he talked, I mirrored his files, scraping servers via backdoor I'd planted in the audit code. A ghost in their system. Evidence piled. Wire transfers. Meeting logs. Even a voice memo of him coaching Sarah on the frame job. Make her the villain.
Doll.
Women in tech, fragile. Emotional. It'll stick. Fragile? I'd show him fragile. Sarah reached out midweek. A frantic call from an unknown number. Burner.
Probably. Belle. Please.
Meet me. The Hamptons. Neutral ground. Neutral? Her fiancé's McMansion screamed privilege. But curiosity, and that damn pity, drove me out on the jitney. Wind whipping the vines like accusations. She waited on the deck. No makeup. Hair, a bird's nest. The Atlantic churning below, like her gut. They're coming for me, she sobbed, handing over a USB. Everything, Harlan's the snake. He set us both up.
Us.
There, it was. The old hook. The drive held backups, her unedited emails, pleading with me pre-scandal. And post, her failed attempts to recant, quashed by Harlan's threats. We talked till sunset. Salt air thick with what-ifs. I was weak, she admitted, voice cracking.
But you.
You're stronger now. Help me bury him. For a heartbeat. I saw the girl from NYU. The one who'd split rent and secrets. Why should I?
She met my eyes. Raw.
Because revenge alone is empty. We do this together. Or we both drown. Together. The word hung. Treacherous. I pocketed the USB. Promised nothing. Back in the city. Alone. I waited. Ally with the betrayer to gut the bigger beast? Or double-cross both? Leave the kingdom in flames? The board reconvened Friday. Emergency session. Victor summons terse. Resolution on Lang matter. The room felt smaller. Air stale, with unspoken alliances. Sarah was there, composed in Chanel, but her eyes darted like a cornered fox. Harlan, smug, tie too tight. I presented first, amended audit, per our plan. Slides exonerated her partially. Pin the fund on rogue elements.
Nods.
Relief rippling. Then Victor. Participation rule. Status? Harlan cleared his throat. Invoke on MS.
Lang.
She's agreed to step back. Assets pledged. Sarah stiffened, but said nothing. Our script. But as Harlan basked, I swiped to my finale. The full vault. Transfers. Memos. His voice snarling orders. Mr. Harlan, I said. Voice thunder. You're not puppeteer. You're the strings. Chaos detonated. Victor snatching the remote. Evelyn gasping. Chet bolting for the door. Harlan lunged. Face purple. You traitorous. Security again. Zip ties this time. Sarah? She stared. Then whispered. Thank you. But her eyes held calculation. Had she played me too? As the Fed swarmed. SEC tipped anonymously. My doing, the board fractured. Victor invoked the rule threefold. Sarah. Harlan.
And. Me?
That grant. Leveraged. Collateral, he intoned. Voice weary. You all danced in the dark. Cuffs clicked. Not just for them, for me too. A twist of irony. But as they let us out, Sarah beside me in the elevator, she murmured, we burned together. Or not at all. The doors dinged open to flashing lights. Press vultures circling. Divided? Hell. We were a bonfire. The holding cell smelled of bleach and broken dreams. Federal lockup in Lower Manhattan. A stone's throw from the Lady Liberty, who couldn't save us now. Sarah and I, side by side on a bench that bit into your tailbone, staring at the graffiti-scarred wall. Snitches get stitches etched crude. A warning or epitaph. Harlan, in solitary, screaming for his lawyer like a toddler denied candy. The feds had us dead to rights. RICO charges pending. Conspiracy to defraud. The works. Nexus stock cratered 22% overnight. Headlines screaming, Tech Titans treacherous trio. Pundits on Fox called it woke overreach. MSNBC corporate comeuppance. America. Loving its villains as much as its vigilantes. Interrogation was a tag team. Good cop with coffee. Bad with the glare. Talk. Reyes. Who pulled the trigger on the leak? I sipped the sludge. Said nothing. Sarah cracked first, 30 minutes in, spilling on Harlan's empire. The slush funds tentacles into DC lobbies. How divisive wasn't bugged but built that way. A profit engine on prejudice. Annabelle was collateral, she sobbed. Mascara Rivers. I protected her, tried to.
Lies.
Half-truths, but enough to shave my sentence prospects.
Me?
I held the line, detailing the code. The overrides. Harlan's whispers. It was survival, I echoed her old line. Tasting the bile. The agents nodded, scribbling. Heroes or whores, one muttered. Pick a lane. Bail hearings blurred, mine denied. Flight risk, Sarah's maid. Daddy-in-law's millions greasing palms. She paused at the gate. Chain link rattling.
Belle. I'm sorry.
For real. Sorry? Too late for sacraments. But as the van hauled me to sentencing prep, a spark, the feds had Harlan's vaults cracked. Assets frozen. Nexus? Dismantled. Unity AI euthanized by congressional bill. The board? Scattered. Victor retired to golf in Scottsdale. Evelyn to a memoir deal.
Chet too.
Wherever finance bros flee. Months ground by. Plea deals negotiated in fluorescent hell. Sarah flipped fully, testifying against Harlan in exchange for deferred prosecution. She sold her soul twice, my lawyer grumbled, but it bought me time served plus probation. Harlan? 20 years. Minimum. His comb-over wilting under orange jumpsuits.
Me?
Community service coding open-source ethics tools for nonprofits. A ironic leash. But freedom's a funny thing. Tastes like stale bagels from the corner deli. The city welcoming you back with horns and hustle. I ran into Sarah 6 months post-release. At a dive in the village, poetry slam night. Ironic for ex-coders. She was slumming it. No rock on the finger. Hair streaked gray. Divorce, she explained over IPAs. Voice hollow. He called me poison. We talked. Awkward. Jagged, like survivors swapping war stories. The rule. You wielded it like Excalibur, she said. Half smile. Stunned us all. Stunned?
Or scarred?
It divided everything, I replied.
Us.
The company. The truth. She nodded, eyes wet. Was it worth it? Worth? The question hung, unanswered. Harlan rotted. Nexus reborn as a sustainable shell under new blood. But me? Hollowed out. The revenge a Pyrrhic feast. The twist hit like a subway delay, anonymous package at my door. No return. Inside, a thumb drive. Labeled loose ends. I plugged it in. Heart hammering. Files from Sarah's old server. Unredacted. My protests. Her overrides. But buried deeper, a video. Grainy. Time-stamped pre-scandal. Drunk on success. Toasting. To divisive, bridging gaps. Or widening M for the win. Laughter.
Mine.
Context? I joked. But it landed like confession. And the sender? Her initials. Scrawled faint. She'd kept it, insurance. Or absolution. I deleted it. But the doubt lingered. Was I innocent? Or just as complicit? The betrayal cut both ways. A Mobius strip of guilt. We met again. Sporadic, coffee turning to collabs on ethical AI startups. 2 phoenixes from the same ash. Chia Fi, she quipped once, mangling a phrase from her ex's travels. Divided? Yeah. But in the gray. Maybe that's the American way. No heroes. Just hustlers haggling over the ruins.
Now.
Years on. I keynote at tech cons. The participation rule my legend, a cautionary clause in bylaws nationwide. Sarah? Consultant. Ghostwriting for the reformed. Harlan? Forgotten. A footnote in white-collar crime pods. And me? Annabelle Reyes. Scarred but standing. The boardroom stun a scar that itches on rainy days. Revenge? It didn't heal. It hollowed. Then hardened. Was it justice? Or just another divide? You tell me. In this country of dreamers and schemers, the lines as blurry as the Hudson at dusk. The end? Open. Like a server port waiting for the next hack. But if you ask if I'd do it again.
Hell yeah.
Or maybe not. That's the rub, the eternal American debate. Where right and wrong fist fight in the shadows. And no one walks away clean.